Welcome back. All right, so in today's career video, I want to talk about Bobby Carpenter. Bobby Carpenter was a number 3 pick in 1981, and he had superstar written all over him right out of the gate. What's great about Carpenter is he's a good example of a player who started off as a star player, rightfully so, and reinvented himself as his career went along, and ended up becoming one of the better defensive forwards in the game. And I love that about players when they're able to basically change their role completely as they get older to remain in the league. So, right after the draft, he comes into the league in 81 82, right? 80 games played, 32 goals, 35 assists, 67 points. Very good player for a Washington team that is trying to dig their way out of the mess they created with their expansion team being a complete disaster. He was 8th in voting for Calder, and he had an assist 12 seconds into his first shift on a goal by Ryan Walter. So, from what I was reading, that's still the fastest assist ever recorded by a player in their first game. So, kudos to Bobby Carpenter on that. So, he's quite the star player out of the gate. In 82-83, his totals stay very much the same. 80 games played again, 32 goals, 37 assists, 69 points, and in the playoffs, he plays 4 games, gets 1 goal. That's the first time the Caps get into the playoffs, too. 83-84, plays 80 games, 28 goals, 40 assists, 68 points. So his point totals 67, 69, 68. Very reliable. In the playoffs, he plays 8 games, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points for Bobby Carpenter. 84-85, he has his career year, and this is the 4th season, right? 80 games, 53 goals, which was 7th overall in the NHL that year, 42 assists, and 95 points. In the playoffs, he plays 5 games, has a goal and 4 assists, 5 points, and he's in the All-Star game. So he's an excellent young forward for the Washington Capitals. And the way that contracts are structured now, he would have been coming out of his entry-level contract. He likely would have got a bridge contract, and then they would have been looking 8 years, right? So by today's standard, he would have got an 8-year contract. That 53 goals, he's a star. But there's setbacks offensively for him from here. 85-86, his goal total drops by about half. 80 games played, so he hasn't missed a game yet. 27 goals, 29 assists, 56 points. But in the playoffs, he's back to point per game. 9 games, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. So we're up to a period now where the Capitals are a pretty good regular season team. They're not able to get over the hump in the playoffs. So 86-87, we see him get traded twice. He gets traded by the Washington Capitals after in 22 games having 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points. He clashed with then Capitals coach Brian Murray to the point where it wasn't really workable, so the Capitals had to trade him. And on January 1st of 1987, he's traded with a 1989 second-round pick in exchange for Bob Crawford, Kelly Miller, and Mike Ridley. This is a deal that really benefits the Washington Capitals. Ridley and Miller, both very good for the Capitals for a while. The Rangers, he doesn't stay with the Rangers for that long. So the Rangers are in a period of, I believe this is under Phil Esposito's GMship, where it's just trade, trade, trade. He was playing the video games before the rest of us. 28 games, 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points. And then on March 10th, his time as a New York Ranger ends. He's traded with Tom Laidlaw to the LA Kings in exchange for a 1989 third-round pick, Jeff Crossman, and Marcel Dion. So the New York Rangers pick up Dion from the Kings. And it's interesting because I remember that as being kind of a shocker, because you would have figured Dion retires as a King. But he wants to win a Stanley Cup, and the Kings don't seem to be anywhere near that, right? So going to the New York Rangers, hey, take your shot. And then after going to the Kings, Carpenter plays 10 games, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. In the playoffs, 5 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. So he played 60 games in total that year and had 9 goals. So really fell off in terms of his production. And being moved around like that, it makes some sense, but that might be part of the reason why he gets moved by the New York Rangers, right? The 2 goals in 28 games don't endear him to anybody. So in LA, in 87-88, plays 71 games, 19 goals, 33 assists, 52 points. In the playoffs, 5 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. So again, he's in the playoffs most of the years he's playing in the National Hockey League. But he doesn't stay in LA much longer. 88-89, plays 39 games, 11 goals, 15 assists, 26 points. And then on January 23rd, he was traded to the Boston Bruins in exchange for Jay Miller. So Kings trying to get tougher, and the Bruins looking for what Bobby Carpenter brings to the table. And after that trade to Boston, Carpenter's numbers get better. In 18 games, 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points. So very good point totals for him after what wasn't a bad start in LA. 8 games played in the playoffs in 89 for him with the Bruins. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. 89-90, his full season in Boston, his best season in Boston. In 80 games, he plays all 80 games. 25 goals, 31 assists, 56 points. In the playoffs, 21 games. Helps the Bruins all the way to the final that year. 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points. And this is really where Bobby Carpenter's defense starts to turn some heads. And he's playing that defensive role for the Bruins. It gets them all the way to the final where they run into the Edmonton Oilers. And yeah, the Oilers are a brick wall at that point. Now, the following season, he misses most of the year. He ends up only playing 29 games for Boston, 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points. He only plays 1 playoff game and has 1 assist. 91-92 in what would prove to be his final year in Boston. 60 games, 25 goals, 23 assists, 48 points. He plays 8 playoff games, just the 1 assist. So the Boston Bruins let his contract expire, which at the time I disagreed with. I was not a fan of that move at all. And June 30th, he signs as an unrestricted free agent back with the Capitals. So it's not Brian Murray behind the bench anymore. It's 6 years later. And so he goes back to the Caps for 1 year. Plays 68 games that year, 11 goals, 17 assists, 28 points. And then has 6 goals, 1 assist, 6 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. There you go. So good run, not bad, but obviously the offense has really dropped off. And the offense is not coming back. So now if you're signing him for the defensive aspect, for the 3rd/4th line center that he is now. So September 30th, so late in free agency, he signs with the New Jersey Devils. So for the 93-94 season, he goes to New Jersey. That first season, 76 games, 10 goals, 23 assists, 33 points. In the playoffs, New Jersey has a good little run there, 20 games, 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points. But they get blocked out by the promise, right? The guarantee from Mark Messier. So that doesn't work out. 94-95 in what's a lockout shortened season. Plays 41 games, 5 goals, 11 assists, 16 points. It's not about the points anymore with Bobby Carpenter. In the playoffs, 17 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points, and Stanley Cup. So he gets the Stanley Cup here. He had an All-Star Game appearance in 84-85. And, I mean, he's top 10 in the Calder voting. He was never really a superstar player outside of, I would say, that 84-85 season, but plugs along really well. And 10 years after that All-Star appearance, now he has the Stanley Cup. And I'm guessing that Stanley Cup ring felt pretty good, right? So 95-96, 52 games, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points. New Jersey wins the Cup in 95. They don't make the playoffs in 96. 96-97. 62 games played, 4 goals, 15 assists, 19 points. So the shot's not what it was. The offense isn't what it was. But it's not his game anymore. He is a defensive forward. He's a 4th liner. 10 games played in the playoffs, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. 97-98, plays 66 games, 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points. So the offense comes up a little bit there. In the playoffs, 6 games, 1 goal. He finishes 7th in voting for the Selke Trophy. So despite his numbers not being where they were, say, back in the 80s, suddenly he's top 10 in Selke voting. So not bad. People paying attention to the defensive game shown by Bobby Carpenter, who had been a 50-goal scorer in 85. 98-99, what would be his final season, 56 games, 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points. No points in the 7 games in the playoffs, and he retires August 16th. Now, normally, you'd look at that and go, well, he missed out on those Stanley Cups in 2000 and 2003, but he didn't. When he retires on August 16th, he ends up being named an assistant coach with the New Jersey Devils. So as an assistant coach, he gets a Stanley Cup ring in 2000 and 2003 with the New Jersey Devils. So I'm wearing caps because that's where he had the most success early in his career, but I could easily have worn a Devils jersey for this as well. When he retired, he played 1,178 games, 320 goals, 408 assists, 728 points. In the playoffs, 140 games played, 21 goals, 38 assists, 59 points. So to me, Bobby Carpenter warrants an inclusion into the THG Hall of Fame because he's not going to get into the Hockey Hall of Fame, obviously. But it's an interesting career, and he's definitely a player that early on I would have liked a lot for his goal scoring and for the excitement. And I remember being a big Bobby Carpenter fan. I remember loving the guy in Boston as well. for what he did as a two-way forward. And then in New Jersey, nothing but respect for him becoming basically a purely defensive forward and embracing the role and really showing that that longevity can come from being able to evolve your game and change your game as you get older. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.